Hey guys, ExJW still fading here. Just wanted to come back with another video and kind of go over the new convention videos that just came out. I'm going to be skipping through a lot of the parts and just focusing on a few parts of it, so the video won't be super incredibly long, but I hope you enjoy the video.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to this special edition of JW Broadcasting, originating from the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses. Our programs this month and next will feature the entire regional convention program for 2020. Although the COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in cancellations of gatherings around the world, Jehovah continues to provide spiritual food at the proper time. At the time this program was recorded, local governments had already mandated social distancing. In compliance, we filmed the entire convention program without an audience, and we are pleased to present it to you now. In behalf of the governing body and all the brothers and sisters working unitedly here at World Headquarters, it's my pleasure to extend to every one of you a very warm welcome. Our convention program this year has as its theme, Always Rejoice, and our theme scripture for this opening day is Philippians 4:4. Always rejoice in the Lord. Again, I will say, rejoice. This first session of our convention begins with a music video presentation. This video highlights the joy we experience when we gather together for worship. If you have with you a cellular telephone or other electronic device, please adjust it to a setting that will not disturb others. And now, please enjoy the presentation.
So at this part, they're going to show the music video presentation. I'm not going to really show much of it. There's just some parts in it that I thought were pretty interesting and I can probably comment on. One of them is with a few people who have had bodily injuries done to them, and what I've noticed is they pretty much just try to show those brothers and sisters in those states just to see how they're still going out in service and making their meetings. What excuse do you have? And it tries to guilt trip a lot of other witnesses into doing the same thing they're doing or trying a little bit harder. I just wanted to say that I think it's very commendable that these people are trying to do something still, even after they have all the odds stacked up against them. I want to commend them for that. I do feel bad a little bit, mainly because I feel that they're being used in this display, basically like I said prior, just so they can tell other people, see how they're still doing things, what's your excuse, which I don't think that anyone should compare themselves to anybody else, regardless of what your circumstances may be. And it can be demoralizing, especially if you can never meet that standard. It really wouldn't be a witness video if they didn't show a little bit of persecution in there, but yeah, that's pretty much what they had to do. So they're going ahead and they're going to start showing the police. They do this quite a bit. I don't think that it helps anybody really. How is this supposed to be calming to people? How is this supposed to bring comfort to anybody? I guess the whole point of this convention is be joyful even in the face of adversity. And I can understand that sentiment in like many other different ways, but when you can literally avoid being put in this situation, I think most people would probably avoid getting put in this situation. Looks like they're showing some footage from way back when. Not sure what the date is for this part of the video, but I will say I don't think it's around the time of 1975 or 1914. I don't think they want to touch those times at all. So right now they're going to go into the chairman's address, why Jehovah is the happy God, and I believe Brother Kenneth Cook, who is a member of the governing body, is going to go ahead and give this talk. Let's go ahead and see what he says.
Is it possible to rejoice as the world crumbles around us? Yes, it is. Those who love Jehovah can always find reasons to rejoice. Throughout this convention, we will discuss 4 things that will help us to rejoice. What are they? Number 1, we will consider the reasons we have for rejoicing. 2, we will examine how we can cultivate godly joy. 3, we will look at how we can maintain joy despite trials. And 4, we will discuss how to express joy. That is, the joy we receive from serving Jehovah. Now, let's lay the foundation for all of this by first answering the question, what is true joy?
One thing that always kind of bothers me is they try to define words that everyone already knows the definition to, like happiness, sadness, joy. Everyone knows what joy is, but for whatever reason they want to define it just so they can kind of fit whatever narrative they want to fit. And I believe that's what he's going to be doing here very shortly. So let's take a look.
What is commonly called joy is an emotion that is stirred by a feeling of well-being, by a sense of success, or because of expecting something good.
Yep, that sounds like joy.
And for this reason, joy may seem to come and go depending on what is happening around us.
Oh boy, here we go.
You might call it circumstantial joy. But that is not the case with true joy. Why?
We're almost there.
Because true joy, godly joy, is an aspect of the fruitage of God's Holy Spirit.
So regular joy is no longer just joy. Apparently it has to deal with the Holy Spirit. And we can see how we just progress from the regular definition of joy into something completely different. Now we're talking about true joy.
True joy is a quality of the heart that is not dependent on external things happening around us. This godly quality comes from knowing that you have the truth, that you are doing what pleases God, and that your kingdom hope is certain to be fulfilled.
So pretty much what he's telling you is that you can only have true joy if you do all those things. Otherwise, you're not really experiencing joy. So I pretty much had enough of what Brother Cook has to say about joy. So we can go on ahead to Brother Stephen Lett. Many of you know him well. Let's see what he has to say.
Let's give our attention to Brother Stephen Lett, a member of the governing body, as he welcomes us to this Always Rejoice convention. And
Welcome
Oh God.
to the Always Rejoice Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. We're so happy that you were able to arrange to attend all 3 days of this convention. Why were the Apostle Paul's words at Philippians 4:4 chosen as the theme for this year's convention? Well, over the past 4 years, the governing body has used conventions
To get paid.
to highlight qualities that endear us to Jehovah
Oh.
and help us to be victorious in our struggle against Satan and his world. We've had convention themes that focused on the need for loyalty, endurance, courage, and love.
Yeah, so love never fails unless you're shunned, then it fails quite a bit. I really find it ironic and hypocritical for them to even say anything about love never failing when they've shown time and time again they'll cut off their family members at a drop of a hat just because they may have done something that they didn't like, or that they decided, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this religion anymore.
During these 3 days, the convention program will help us to deepen our appreciation for godly joy. We'll learn what true joy is, how to cultivate it, how to maintain it during difficult times, and how to display it as it wells up in our hearts.
After this point, Stephen Lett didn't mention anything that I thought was of too much importance, so I decided to skip ahead. In fact, I think I'm going to skip past all the parts that are just focused on the talks and probably go to the videos, because I think they're the most interesting parts of the convention. And I think everybody can agree with that, because whenever you're going to a convention, the only part you're really looking forward to was like Saturday when they had the drama or when they had the videos. So let's go to those parts.
In this talk, we'll discuss how pursuing a simple life contributes to joy. The world teaches that pursuing wealth and having money will make you happy. And an illustration of Jesus at Luke chapter 12 highlights that point. Please turn there with me. Luke chapter 12. In the illustration, the land of a rich man produced well. He planned on building bigger storehouses. And notice Luke chapter 12, verse 19, what the man said to himself. You have many good things stored up for many years. Take it easy. Eat, drink, enjoy yourself. So the man thought that because of having many good things, he could enjoy them for many years. But notice what God told him according to verse 20. Unreasonable one, this night they are demanding your life from you. Who then is to have the things you stored up?
I understand what he's trying to say here, and it does make sense, as you can't take any of the things with you when you die. But I feel that this has somewhat of an underlying message, and it's coming straight from the Watchtower, where they want to encourage you to not pursue anything for yourself, like higher education or a job promotion, because they know once you try to do those things and you better yourself, then you're more inclined to leave. I also feel that that's the reason why a lot of people are joining the witnesses in other countries, because in the West, like the United States, a lot of people are more so bettering themselves and focusing on education, whereas in other countries they don't have that luxury and they don't have a lot of education to choose from. So they get sucked up and wrapped up in this organization that feeds off of them and preys on people like them, that those people really just want hope and they just want a better life. And Watchtower comes along and says, I can give you this, I can give you that better life, when in actuality it's not really as great as it seems.
So in reality, the man's joy from pursuing wealth was short-lived. To further illustrate this point, as you watch the following dramatization, consider how a brother responds to an offer of more money and how it affects his joy.
You wanted to see me?
Yeah, come on in and go ahead and close the door, please. Thanks for coming up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Ben, all of your projects have come in on schedule and under budget. We're really impressed, and we want to move you up to the management team. Now,
Wow.
You'll head up the whole division to start.
Management team. I like the sound of that. Not to mention the pay raise and the bonuses. It did sound like a lot more work, but Victor was so positive.
There may be a little overtime here and there.
I like how they always sneak that in. They always say, oh, there's going to be a little overtime. If you watch any of the witness dramatizations, and it has to do with promotions or getting like a job or whatever it may be, there's always like a little bit of overtime. It's like the boss always mentions that. Now, I'm speaking from my own experience, but the jobs that I've had in the past, if I got a promotion, my hours would somewhat increase, but there wouldn't be any mention of overtime per se. There's really no mention of that. A lot of times, the bosses will be very happy to like accommodate your schedule if they can. Watchtower makes it seem like if you get a promotion, there's always overtime.
But I wouldn't worry about it, not with your skill.
He told me I could think about it before deciding. But come on, this was a no-brainer. The new position was great.
Not a surprise that he got a new car.
And the money? Well, that wasn't too bad either. It was exciting to work directly with clients. But the hours were crazy.
I think this highlights one of the main problems with these dramatizations. They make them seem as if you do anything against what we say, then bad things are going to happen. Essentially, with this guy, he chose to get the promotion. So the worst thing that could happen is him missing his meetings. Also, the worst thing that could happen is he gets overtime. And this happens all the time with every single one of their videos. They do any type of dramatization, it's like the worst case scenario. When I'm sure if you meet anybody out in the world that's gotten a promotion, many times it probably was all around a better or a good decision. But this makes it seem like getting a promotion is always a bad decision.
It's been said that the easy thing to do and the right thing to do are seldom the same. We see an example of this in this week's Bible reading. True worship, the right thing, was not easy, but required hard work. King Hezekiah demonstrated his zeal for Jehovah's worship.
So a question for the audience is, how could we explain this to someone? Ava, please.
Most nights, I was wiped out.
All around the world, many people wonder if life has any purpose.
And I have to admit, even when I wasn't working, 20 minutes. I was working.
It's literally just propaganda to make people afraid of trying to better themselves. That's all it is.
As highlighted in the video, why will pursuing money not make us happy? Because we wouldn't be following Jehovah's advice. And that would cause us to fall into a snare or trap, as mentioned at 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 9. Without our even realizing it, that snare can consume our time that we need to be spending on spiritual things.
Oh man, see, they're trying to go ahead and tell you this is what you should be spending your time on. This is just another method of control.
How is that shown in the video? Well, the pay raise, bonuses, new car, and other things may have made our brother happy for a short time. However, did you notice how pursuing money was a snare for him? Most nights he was exhausted from working long hours. He arrived late to the meeting and fell asleep.
He fell asleep? Oh no, not asleep. Don't tell me he fell asleep.
And did you notice what happened to his participation in the field ministry, the most important work on earth?
I would argue if the work is that important, it would have already been done years ago. So at this point, they're going to show the opposite side of what you should do in that scenario. I don't want to go over that. I'm just going to go to the next part, which I believe is going to be talking about your conscience.
What would you do if you were tempted or pressured to commit some sort of wrongdoing? There are many people in the world who would give in to the temptation or the pressure, especially if they felt that they could benefit in some way and they thought no one would find out about it. But would doing that really contribute to a person's joy? In the previous talk, we saw a dramatization of a brother named Ben. At first, he chose to accept a promotion at work that put him under great stress. Let's take another look at him in that position and see how he handles things when his boss pressures him to be dishonest.
Hey, Ben, looks like you forgot to sign off on the job order.
Actually, these failed that quality inspection, remember?
Yeah, by like 0.2 of a point.
Yeah, I already talked to Steve about replacing the components, and we're gonna get that order adjusted, and I'll have a new one for you on your desk tomorrow afternoon.
Ben, there's no time for that. This is a huge account. If you don't sign off on this, you'd be hurting the whole company. What?
Victor, I'm not sure that I'm really comfortable bypassing the inspection when...
Ben, I'm not asking you to tell some big lie. This is a technicality. Remember, a good quarter means good bonuses for everyone, including you.
I didn't want to do it. But the last thing that Lisa and I needed was for me to lose my job. I really didn't have a choice.
If you lie, they can't believe you. And they might not.
I kept telling myself that it was no big deal.
All lies are bad, even little ones. One lie leads to another, and they cause much harm.
It's simple, right? Jehovah's people always tell the truth.
They do? Hold on.
And the congregation elders took the decision to disfellowship. That word is used by Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses don't use the word shun or shunning. They refer to it as disfellowship, disfellowshipping, disfellowshipped, because that really gives the sense of what's taking place within this particular religious community. Disfellowship literally means no further spiritual fellowship.
And do you see yourselves as Jehovah God's spokespeople on earth?
That I think would seem to be quite presumptuous to say that we are the only spokesperson that God is using.
For example, if they had become inactive or sought to fade without formally dissociating, and the elders came to visit and found them celebrating Christmas or a birthday, they would be found to be in transgression of the rules, would they not?
That is not my understanding, but again, as I said, it's not my field. That goes into policy with regard to those type of things. But from my personal experience, that's not the case.
Man, you really could have fooled me. So the next video shows what they want you to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip that one and move on to the video right after that one.
The company took on new clients this year, and I knew that Victor was really depending on me to keep things on schedule. I didn't want to let him down. So I stepped up and took on the overtime hours. I figured it was temporary. And I even got to take home a bigger paycheck. The problem is, that's not all I took home. By the end of each week, I was burned out. It's looking good. I gotta call him Ryan. And the weekends? Well, they weren't really any better. In fact, I spent a lot of Saturdays back at the office. The project took a lot longer than I thought. That pretty much took out field service and the meetings. but I knew that management would be impressed.
That machine is essential so I can get these parts.
I got the reports in right on time.
Look, this is costing a lot of money. I got a first quarter that I have to meet, and without this, it's gonna kill me. You know, we had a contract that you're supposed to, like I said, I don't care about your third-party vendors. This is unacceptable.
I was working harder than ever. And in the end, I'm not sure anyone even cared.
One of the most important things to take away from this is that you have to have balance. Regardless, there should always be some type of balance in your life. If you're constantly working and not having enough time for your family, or even to eat food in the morning for breakfast, I think you have to just sort out your priorities. I feel like whenever they show these videos, like I said before, it's just like the worst case scenario. They show you the most horrible version of it. However, if you put everything in its proper place and what time you do certain things, then you won't have a problem. But this one makes it seem like regardless of what you do, you're never going to have your priorities together. We're now going to go into friend choices and how it affects our joy.
And believe me, that's not the only dirt I have on Victor. Okay, we're listening.
I just had to take a second to look at this guy's haircut, man. I don't know what barber he went to, but they really jacked my man up. I don't know what kind of fade that is. What is that? What is that?
So last week, he's talking in his office, right? And he has no idea that I'm standing right there. And he's bragging to his buddy.
I really didn't want to hear this. Lunch with them seemed harmless, but this was anything but upbuilding.
Hey, check out these guys. It's the Bible people.
Uh-oh. Don't look now. I think they have someone. They might try to convert us too.
This guy has a look on his face like he's just so offended. I don't really think they said anything too offensive. Really nothing offensive at all. They're just making a joke. And it wasn't even a harsh joke at all. I mean, I don't know what they're trying to show in this video, but really all they showed was just this guy. He can't take a joke. I'm also surprised that they don't know who he is. Like, that's probably one of the main things you tell people when you start a job. I mean, I thought that was like protocol, but apparently not.
What is the deal with these people? I mean, it's cool if you want to believe in fairy tales and everything, but keep it to yourself, right?
Exactly.
I feel like at this point they're just showing this guy off because of the haircut. That's the only reason why he's there. They could have had just two of them, but no, they had to have a third guy in there, and they're like, hey, you know what would be cool? Let's go ahead and give him a pretty radical haircut. Yeah, that'll do it. Let's go ahead and put a fade on him, right? Yeah, you're following? And then put a little line on the side, but not on both sides. Just do it only on one.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Wow.
And those carts are everywhere now.
They're all over the city.
I couldn't finish my lunch.
I was just so disgusted by how they made fun of me, but not really made fun of me. So I couldn't finish my lunch.
I had never noticed how sarcastic and negative my coworkers could be. I had always thought of them as well, as friends. But what kind of friends was I making?
He didn't look very happy. Why not? The association seemed harmless, but their conversation went in a negative direction. Then it got personal.
He walked right past me. Now look at my, really? Oh, so that's how you're gonna play it. It's okay, fine. That's all I needed. That's all I needed for him to do that, and it became personal with me.
I wasn't gonna show the next video, but there was a little part in it that I thought was pretty interesting and I wanted to touch on it.
you? What are you doing over there? Did you guys know about this?
This is definitely one of those things that happens when you're pretty young, but when you're an adult, this stuff is very odd. I've never had an experience like this. I mean, these guys are grown adults and they're acting that way towards one of their coworkers. Really, it just seems so out of place. But I guess when you're pushing a narrative, you want to make it seem like worldly people are rude. So there's that. I guess that's why they put that in there. So this is just part 1 of Friday. There is a second part, and I plan on getting to that one as soon as I can. And once I do, I'll definitely upload it. Thanks so much for viewing the video. Have a good one.